Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today I simply have to revisit one of my favourite TV shows, Z Nation from the SyFy network. This show sadly has come to an end, and this weekend just gone I watched effectively the final episode, the last episode of season 5. But you may recall a little while ago I made a video talking about Z Nation and how much I love it, despite the fact that I was fairly certain I was going to despise this show when I first came across it on Netflix. At face value, certainly in those first couple of seasons, Z Nation feels and looks to all the world like a poor man's Walking Dead. It seems to be less impressive in terms of budget, less possibility ridden in terms of scope and characters, more generic in terms of its characters, without, it doesn't have the standouts like Rick Grimes or like Norman Reedus with a crossbow, and generally just a bit meh. It felt as though this show was going to just try and chase and hold on to the coattails of a much better TV series during the sort of the zombie craze that was The Walking Dead. But within a couple of seasons of watching that show, I quickly realised that Z Nation was a hidden gem, well, relatively hidden gem. And I can imagine there would be lots of people who watched Walking Dead and loved it and really got into it, who saw Z Nation and thought, nah, it's just going to be a cheap knockoff, who just dismissed it immediately. And I'm so glad that I didn't do that. And I've made I've made that whole case, that whole argument in that other video. So if you want to know why you should watch Z Nation, check out my previous video on this amazing TV series. But this weekend I did watch the final episode of the final season, knowing fine well that back in December, the producer of the show, David Michael Latt, had announced via a video on Periscope. I haven't come across that particular platform, but nonetheless a Periscope video 1 week before the final episode aired, that the show was going to come to an end, and he announced in the following way: "We wanted to tell you face to face that we're not renewed for season 6. We're stopping at season 5. We're very sad, but we're also really grateful with the opportunities that we have had on the show. This is not the end of anything," he continued. "This is just the beginning of a lot of things, including Netflix prequel series Black Summer, which received an 8-episode order back in July last year." And I'll come to that at the end of this video. But in that sense, I was watching the whole of season 5, and incidentally, I got the season 1 to 5 box set, having had this announcement, this awareness that the whole thing was coming to an end, because actually it was less expensive than buying seasons 4 and 5 separately. So 1 to 5 in a glorious box, actually, really interesting box set. Anyway, in so much as the shape of it and the way the DVDs are stored. But I was watching the whole of season 5 with that awareness, with a slight tear in the eye, and with a sense of gratitude for having stuck with and having understood Z Nation. I could have so easily been one of those people who just dismissed it or who just didn't get the joke. But Z Nation I was on board for, and I'm really happy about that. And it continued all the way through to the final season to be everything that I loved about Z Nation. Character driven, first and foremost. Strong characters, interesting characters. Characters that you simply wouldn't get in a realistic scenario, or you wouldn't get, or maybe you would actually get in a real zombie outbreak. That's the point. In a real zombie outbreak, the world would go crazy. But in a Walking Dead type situation, some of these characters simply wouldn't be there. My favourite continues to be Doc, a wonderful, hippie, wise, former psychologist, former drug addict, hash pipe driven, genius fool. He's just he's a wizard with hammers in terms of zombie dispatching. And there's a whole episode actually in season 5 where oddly enough he's explaining and talking through on a long car journey, while obviously smoking some wacky backy, the Bill of Rights and the amendments to the American Constitution that enshrine the rights of citizens in law. Now that may sound strange for a zombie comedy TV show, because it should be scary at times, which it is. It should be funny at times, which it consistently is. But also, actually, they managed to fold in really interesting conversations by virtue of playing with the characters and what the characters are interested in and what they hold dear. And what Doc holds dear is humanity and relating to others, and how actually the best of things like the Constitution or the Bill of Rights actually help people to do that. The episodic nature of this series continues in so much as there is still that sort of monster of the week element. There's one episode where there's a monster underground. I won't ruin it, but there's a monster underground, which is again a spin on a type of zombie, and so that sort of ongoing thought experiment of what would happen if this happened to zombies, or what would happen if that happened to, is still there. But also, actually, they build on it in season 5 in a way that is quite satisfying. They introduce the notion of a sliding scale of death, shall we say. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you're not just dead. It's not just a case of, in season 5, you can be living and then a zombie and then mercied, killed. There's something in between, and that was very interesting. Again, a thought experiment that encouraged surprisingly deep conversations and ideas in and amongst the horror and the comedy. There's one episode in season 5 where some Canadian bakers turn up, and not Canadian bacon, Canadian bakers, and they are glorious. I mean, I know they're a borderline offensive stereotype, the way that they're portrayed, but they are glorious. And I have a couple of Canadian friends who I sort of showed a clip or two to, and they found it very funny. So yeah, the sense of humour is there, the horror is there, the character-driven stuff is there. All of your favourite characters continue their stories, and actually they really manage in season 5, considering this is the end, to end on a high. They return to the core of the characters and how these different groups relate to each other. In my opinion, season 3 dips slightly in terms of that and the consistency of that. The motivations and the aspirations of a couple of characters in particular become a bit unbearable. You're sort of going, oh come on, this is a conceit too far, as it were. But by season 4, they kind of almost make amends for season 3 and some of the things that they did with some characters, and by season 5 we're back on track. It's got heart. It's got heart, this TV show, and I love it. Also, the return of Addie Carver, that one-eyed warrior woman. Anyway, I suppose what I'm saying is, this weekend I had a lovely time revisiting Friends, I suppose, in the zombie apocalypse, diving back into this crazy sci-fi vision of the weirdness of the zombie apocalypse, certainly post Black Summer zombie apocalypse, and just appreciating the fact that as we came to the end of the series, and yes, they end it on a there's a slight open end. They don't close the door on you. There's a possibility there, but there's also, they wrap up character arcs in a way that, so for example, Murphy, you think, oh, I think I think I know what his next scheme is going to be, what his next big idea is going to be, from the last shot of the show. So they knew how to manage that ending, and they managed it very well. And I ended with a smile. My lovely wife loves this show as well, and that's no small thing, given that she hates The Walking Dead. She can't stand the hopelessness of it, and just the at times the fact that the way that they revel in certain types of violence and gore. In this show, because the gore is at times overwhelming, but also really funny, because the scares can be genuine, but also at the same time make you laugh. And because the characters are there, she loves it, and she's also been really satisfied by the whole 5-season story. I love it. So I'm just making this this follow-up video, but also this goodbye video, just to say, if you haven't seen Z Nation and you're curious, give it a go. Give it a go. In fact, actually, if you live here in the UK or in Europe, especially in the PAL region, Region 2 DVD, that's Australia as well, is it? Anyway, I'll happily send you my season 1 to 3 box set, since I've got season 1 to 5 now. I've got season 1 to 3 on DVD. You can have it. First come, first served. Just comment below or message me or something. You can have it. If you're curious, you can have it. Finally, this Black Summer prequel series for Netflix. I'm not convinced. And this is ironic, because now I'm right back at square one. Not convinced. But I'm not convinced because they're going to do exactly what I thought they'd done initially, if you see what I mean. The Black Summer was the first summer after the zombie apocalypse outbreak in the show. It was a time when humanity almost starved to death and were almost wiped out because people were just culturally in shock and everything was at its lowest ebb. People hadn't really learned to cope yet. And they touch on that in the beginning of season 1 of Z Nation, when certain characters are on the run from groups that they hooked up with during Black Summer. Again, don't want to spoil anything. But Black Summer, the show, is going to focus on that period, the darkest time, and apparently it's not going to have as much comedy, or in fact any comedy. What I've been reading so far is that it's not going to be a zombie comedy show. It's going to be a zombie show. It's going to be about a mother trying to track down her baby daughter who's gone missing or has been stolen or something. And it's going to be set before the weirdness of the zombie apocalypse sets in. And that's a real shame. I'm just not sure that I'm interested. I'm not sure I want to see another zombie show. I want to see Black Summer in a Z Nation kind of way, with that spin, that twist, that character. Again, character that we've come to love. But if it's going to be Walking Dead Light, or if it's going to be Diary of the Dead, God forbid, then I'm just not interested. So I'll give it a go. Obviously, I mean, we have Netflix. It'll be watchable for us. I'll watch it. But if I don't like it, I may even tell you about it. I may even make a video saying I don't like it. We'll see. I don't tend to make videos about things I don't like, but yeah, we'll see. Not convinced about Black Summer, but Z Nation, what a show. And like I say, if you haven't seen it, if you want to see it and you're in the PAL region, let me know. I'll send you my 3-season box set. You're welcome. Incidentally, top hat and sunglasses. This is just an homage to Doc. He's got a cool dress sense. As ever, guys, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.